Hey everyone, today I wanted to do a video to teach you all about the action items surrounding the layers panel. So I'm going to teach you about grouping, ungrouping, duplicating, and deleting, as well as slicing, welding, attaching, flattening, and contouring. So the first item is grouping, and what grouping allows you to do is it allows you to move your design around your canvas as one, as well as scale your design as one object. And conversely, if you wanted to, you could ungroup your design and you could just group parts of it. So if you wanted to group your stars, you would be able to move these around the mat freely. So if I group my entire design, grouping in no way affects how it's displayed on the mat. So if I go to make it, the Cricut is going to place my design where it feels that it saves the most vinyl. And if you wanted, you could move your objects around to save even more vinyl. And so that is the purpose of grouping. And so let's say I'm going to go ahead and type out the word stars in the font Hello Honey. And I'm going to change my letter spacing to connect the cursive letters. And so in most cases, when you change your letter spacing, it will actually connect your letters as they should be. However, there are some fonts like this one where you are going to need to ungroup your font. And so you can either click ungroup here, or you can also go to advanced and you can ungroup your font to letters. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my T and I'm going to press the left arrow on the keyboard and move it over. And then I'm going to take the rest of my word and I'm going to group this as one. And now I can move this all together by pressing the left arrow again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group it and I'm going to show you that when you go to make it, it is still separate letters. So the way that you're going to fix that is whenever you are connecting cursive, you are always, always, always going to weld. And so if you were to attach it, as a lot of people do, I'm going to change this to yellow so that you can see. You're still going to be able to see your cut lines once the Cricut cuts it out. So in between all of these letters, you're going to have cut lines in between your letters. And so you will want to weld it. And as you can see, welding allows your design to have zero cut lines. And so the same is true for, let's say you had a circle and you wanted to also take a square and you were going to unlock it and make a rectangle. If you were to attach these items, what would happen is the Cricut would cut the circle, but it would also cut your rectangle. And so you would have cut lines around the top of the rectangle as well as the bottom of the circle. So if you weld it, what has happened is the design is now one object rather than two different objects. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and resize this. And let's say you wanted to create an insert inside of this star. So when you slice an object, you are only able to slice 2 layers at a time. And so right now, the Cricut is viewing each individual star as a layer, as well as your text as a layer, as well as the word star as one layer. So what you would need to do is ungroup your design and then ungroup this set of stars. And now this star is on its own, and you can slice, or what you could do is you could weld your design. However, you need to know that once you save your project and you come back to your project, once you have welded, there is no back button to undo it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to select another star, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to yellow so that you can see what I'm doing. And slicing is essentially taking a cookie cutter and placing it on top of your dough. And so I'm going to select both of these and align it so that my center star is in the center and slice is lit up. So now I can take my cookie cutter off of the dough. I can take the cookie that it cut out, and I'm left with just the extra dough around the outside. And so I can go ahead and delete these, as well as I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to add a star again. And let's say I wanted to have a word inside of my star. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to yellow and resize it. And so because this is only 2 layers, you can see that I can select everything and slices lit up. So now I can take off my top layer as well as the middle layer, and I'm left with a star that will have the word stars cut out of it. However, just so you know, you would need to create a line in between your S and your star. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock it. And I'm going to make this pretty thin. And I'm going to duplicate this. So right now, if the Cricut were to cut this out, the inside of the S would fall out because there's nothing holding it in place. So I'm just going to create a line and put it right there. And also I can do it on my A. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time and do it on the last S, as well as the R up top. And so now I can select everything. and I can weld my design. And so now you can see that when the Cricut cuts this out, the inside of the letters won't fall out just because there's a tiny little bridge in between the letters. And so I'm going to add my star back. And let's say you wanted to have writing in this star. So you can go ahead and go to your text box and you can filter your fonts to show all of your writing fonts. And the majority of the time, the fonts that you download from DaFont are not going to be writing fonts. However, Cricut does offer some writing fonts, and there are a few that are free, even if you do not have Cricut access. So, for instance, this one is free, and there are a few other ones. So, I'm going to go ahead and click on this one, and I'm going to type out the word stars. And I'm going to change my star to yellow. And I'm going to keep my text black. And so if I were to click everything and attach it, as you can see, right now, it would cut out the word stars. So I'm going to go ahead and detach that. I'm going to click on my font. And up here where it says cut, I'm going to change it to draw. And I'm going to click the color, and you can change it to whatever color pen you have in the Cricut. So let's say I had pink in there. I could select everything and attach it. And so once I've done that, now you can see it's going to cut my S, or excuse me, my star, and draw the word stars. And so, as I showed you before, if you were to group your design and click make it, the Cricut would try to fit your design to save as much vinyl as possible. However, when it comes to weeding, that's not the most effective way to weed. So a lot of people are going to want the design the same on the mat as the canvas. So what you're going to do is you're going to click attach. And then when you go to make it, everything is as it is on the canvas. However, let's say you had the top 3 stars were yellow. If you select everything and you click attach, everything is going to turn to black. And so what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to attach each individual color. So you can do that one of two ways. You can select something black in this design and hold down your shift key. And then when you're done, click attach. Or you can do it in your layers panel over here. So you can click one star, hold down your shift key, and select all your stars. And then you would click attach. And so now when you go to make it, your black text is where it should be, as well as your yellow stars. So I'm going to go ahead and detach this. So let's say you wanted this to be a sticker. So just for the simplicity of this video, I'm going to go ahead and put a rectangle behind this. However, you could use a third-party app like Procreate, or you could use Inkscape, and you could create an outline behind your design. All I'm going to do is I'm going to select my entire design, and I'm going to group it. And then I'm going to take this square and I'm going to unlock it in the bottom left-hand corner. And I'm going to go ahead and resize it to fit behind my design. And I'm going to select everything and I'm going to select flatten. And so what flatten does is it creates several different layers and it flattens it into one layer and it turns your design into a print and cut. So then you would go ahead and put this design in your printer. The printer would print the design, and then once you're done, you would put the sticker paper into the Cricut, and the Cricut would cut the square around the design, or if you had an outline, it would cut the outline. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is, let's say I wanted, instead of this design, I wanted to have this design, but I wanted it in color. And so what I would need to do is I would need to contour my design. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this. And then I'm going to duplicate this as many times, as many colors as I want in the final product. So once for yellow, once for red, once for blue, and once for green. And then I always duplicate one more time so that I have an extra copy. That way, if I ever come back to this design, I have a copy that has not been touched. So I'll go ahead and hide that one. And then that way, when I cut my design, the maker will not cut that one because it's hidden. I'm going to click on my design and you'll see that the contour box lit up. So I'm going to click on contour. And anytime I go into contour, I automatically click hide all contours. And I'm going to select everything that I want to be yellow in this image. So I'm going to get all the stars in the image. And then before you X out, the last thing you're going to do is click this top box in the contour panel. And so you're left with everything that you want to be yellow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change it to this yellow. And I'll show you why in a little bit. So now I have two different shades of yellow. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my next layer. I'm going to click on contour. I'm always going to click hide all contours first. And then I'm going to click everything that I want to be red. And I'm going to click this top box before I X out. And I'm left with just my red piece. And I'm going to go ahead and place this yellow inside so I can visualize it. And I'm also going to place this inside. And so next, I'm going to go ahead and Click contour again, hide all contours, select the piece that I want to be blue, click my top box and X out, change this to blue. And then this doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Line it up better if you want, but obviously it matters more about when you're layering your design on your shirt or cup or whatever you're using versus the actual canvas. This is just to visualize it. And then I'm going to take my last layer. I'm going to click contour. I'm going to click everything that I want to be green. First, I'm going to click hide all contours, click what I want to be green, and then click this top box. Change that to green. And then I can go ahead and delete these two that I don't need. And so obviously the delete button is self-explanatory. But I'm going to add back my design from before. And let's say, go ahead and select all this. I'm going to group just this so that I can move it around the canvas. Let's say this was my design. The last thing I want to show you is color sync really quick. So right here, if I select everything, let me go back real quick. I'm going to select everything. And if I go to my color sync panel, for some reason it's not recognizing that there are two yellows. So let me ungroup this, and then I'm going to click on my yellow. And not sure why it's not showing the two different yellows. So if you had two different yellows, what you could do is you could move your yellows into one yellow, and that way you are saving more vinyl. Or you could also click on your design and then change these to the other yellow. So now I see why I just need to change these to no fill. I'm going to change them to the light yellow. And then if I select my design, you can go to color sync. And now I have two different yellows. So if I wanted to move this, I could. And it would help me save a little bit of vinyl. Or you could always click on each individual color and change them up here. So hopefully you found this video extremely helpful. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Have a great day.